burn like the matchstick, then the flame cannot be there. If there is no oxygen in there, the flame cannot come up. So there are several conditions necessary for the flame to arise. And the moment those conditions, even one condition is absent, the flame disappears. So this is the important thing to understand. Now the whole teaching of the Buddha is based on this principle. Just as every scientific discovery, every scientific invention, all the modern technology is based on this principle. If the Buddha understood this, why didn't he try to invent airplanes and do all these magical things, computers and things like that? What is the reason for that? There must be a reason. The reason is really simple. The reason is that in the West, people were more interested in changing the world than changing themselves. This is the difference. So all the inventions are what are called conquest of nature. That means they want to conquer the world. This is the problem. And why is this? Because there is a conflict between our desires and the reality that we experience outside. The internal world and the external world are in conflict. Our desires are in conflict with the realities of nature. And this is what the Buddha discovered. This is what the Buddha called dukkha, which is today translated as suffering. Why? Everything in the world is changing, impermanent. But we want permanence. This is the biggest conflict. We find that we are born and we begin to grow up, and then we grow further, we grow old. Then we fall sick, and then we die. Everything is changing because everything in the world is dependent on conditions. If things are dependent on conditions, when the conditions change, this changes. Just like a piece of ice. A piece of ice cannot remain when the temperature begins to change. It becomes water. That is what is called instability. So the instability of nature is the problem, because we want stability. When we fall in love, we want a stable love. When we get married, we want a permanent marriage. When we want a job, we want a permanent job. Everything we want permanent, but the problem is everything is dependent on conditions. And when everything is dependent on conditions, everything is impermanent. This is why we begin to grow old. We don't want to grow old. This is why we begin to fall sick. We don't want to fall sick. And we also begin to die. Every individual who is born has to die. This instability is creating the insecurity of life. Life is insecure. And this is the problem that the Buddha set out to solve. When he was born as a prince, with all the luxuries of a prince, he saw the impermanence when he saw an old person, a sick person, and a dead corpse. He saw the insecurity of life. Although everything is very pleasant, if you are rich and if you have all the conveniences, even with all the modern technology, everyone has to die. And even with this modern technology, still we have to suffer. This is the problem. The insecurity of life. And so he set out to solve this problem. And in order to do this, he had to give up all these luxuries and go into the forest and live in the forest. And he went and learned meditation from the yogis at that time. There were two teachers he went to learn from. And he learned. And in his learning, he had to purify his mind, calm the mind, and by calming the mind to such a level that he gained certain psychic powers, and he attained this, what are called the samadhis. Today the word samadhi is also badly translated as concentration. This is not concentration. This is calming the mind, relaxing the body and calming the mind. That is the meaning of samadhi. There are so many words that have been wrongly translated, and therefore we don't get the meaning properly. Samadhi is a state of tranquility of mind rather than concentration. If we begin to concentrate, we become more tense, not relaxed. So if we want real samadhi, we must learn to relax. And to relax is not to be concentrating, but to give up all concentration. It's the opposite of concentration. To let go. We have to let go of everything. Even our possessions, even our parents or brothers, sisters, family, and even our own body we have to give up. And even our mind we have to give up. There is nothing that we can ultimately possess in the world. It is only by giving up everything that the Buddha was able to solve this problem of existence. Now today there is a school of philosophy called existentialist philosophy. Now these people, these existentialists, their main principle that they hold on to is that we are all existing. And they say existence precedes essence. That is how Jean-Paul Sartre, who identified himself as an existentialist. And most other existentialists don't even want to call themselves existentialists. But this was one philosopher who admitted that he is an existentialist, and he was writing about existentialism. So the main thing that they emphasized was that every human being who is born in this world